Greetings, esteemed astrologers, and welcome to the Lilly Lectures. I am your guide, William Lilly, and today we continue our journey through the pages of my book, Christian Astrology, where we are looking at the chart of a tradesman who asked me the following questions pertaining to matters of the second house. These inquiries held great significance for him, and they were as follows. 1. Will he become rich or be able to sustain himself without getting married? 2. How will he attain wealth? 3. When will he attain wealth? 4. Will the wealth continue? The chart was cast for the 26th of July as 1634 at 11:06 a.m., London, England. We'll start with if the querent shall be rich or poor. To provide more accurate judgments for these questions, it is necessary to consider the diurnal motion of the planets. Here is the diurnal motion of the planets as I have found. Saturn is 24 hours and 2 minutes and is slow in motion. Jupiter is 13 minutes and moves more in 24 hours than its average motion, which is 4 minutes and 59 seconds and is considered swift. Mars is 35 minutes and moves more in 24 hours than its average motion, which is 30 minutes and 27 seconds and is considered swift. The Sun is 57 minutes and is less than its average motion, indicating that the Sun is slow. Venus is 1 degree 13 minutes and very swift. Mercury is 1 degree 44 minutes and more swift. And finally, the Moon is 11 degrees 54 minutes and slow. Next, I will examine the strengths and weaknesses of the planets using the table of essential dignities. I do this to help young learners better understand the use of these tables, which they will often need to refer to. In the case of Saturn, its true position is 15.19 Sagittarius. However, it does not have any essential dignities in that degree of Sagittarius. Saturn possesses some accidental dignities as follows. It is in the third house, which grants it 1 point. Additionally, it is free from combustion, earning it 5 points, the total being 6. However, Saturn also has some debilities, including being peregrine 5 points, retrograde 5 points, slow in motion 2 points, and occidental 2 points, totaling 14 debility points. Jupiter, on the other hand, exhibits fortitudes with no debilities, either accidental or essential. It gains 4 points for being in exaltation and 5 points for being in the 10th house. Furthermore, it is direct, 4 points, swift in motion, 2 points, and free from combustion, 5 points, accumulating a total of 20 fortitude points. However, there is a detriment due to its square aspect with Mars, though the aspect is platic. Mars, positioned in Libra, lacks essential dignities, but possesses some accidental fortitudes and debilities. It receives 5 points for being in the ascendant and 4 points for being direct, 2 points for being swift in motion, 5 points for being free from combustion, and another 5 points for being in conjunction with Virgo or within 5 degrees, totaling 21 points. However, it is peregrine, so loses 5 points, and occidental to the Sun, another -2 points, resulting in a total of 12 accidental fortitude points. The Sun is in his own house, and so gets 5 points, and also 5 points for being in the midheaven, totaling 10 points. For being slow in motion, he receives -2 points, giving a total of 12 points. Venus gains fortitudes in the 11th house, so gets 4 points, being direct, 4 points, and swift in motion, 2 points. She is occidental of the Sun, which is 2 points, free from combustion, 5 points, and, in conjunction with Regulus, so gets 6 points, giving a total of 23 points. However, it is peregrine and loses 5 points. Mercury exhibits fortitudes by being in the 10th house 5 points, being direct 4 points, swift in motion 2 points, and free from combustion 5 points, totaling 18 fortitude points. However, it is peregrine, -5 points. The Moon displays fortitudes in the 10th house 5 points, increasing in light, 2 points, free from combustion, 5 points, totaling 12 points. The debilities are slow in motion, 2 points, and is peregrine, 5 points totaling 7 debility points. These are the assessments of the planet's accidental dignities and debilities as per the provided table in Christian astrology on page 179 or on page 123 of Christian astrology for the 21st century, abridged edition. As you may observe, the part of fortune in Scorpio has 5 debilities. In our figure, it is more reasonable to consider the part of fortune to be in the second house rather than the first house. In terms of strength, it only has 3 testimonies, which, when subtracted from the 5 debilities, result in the part of fortune being considered weak by 2 testimonies. Although the part of fortune is positioned a few minutes beyond 5 degrees from the cusp of the second house, it would be illogical to attribute its significance to the first house. Always take into account whether your planet has more fortitudes or debilities. Subtract the lesser number from the greater, and then use what remains, whether they are fortitudes or debilities, to make your judgment. The testimonies of all the planets collected into one, after deducting the debilities from the dignities. Saturn weak by testimonies 8 points, Jupiter has fortitudes 20, Mars strong, as having 9, Sun has dignities, 8, Venus 18, Mercury 13, Moon has 5, part of fortune has disabilities, has 2 points, if he should be rich or in a capacity of subsistence without marriage. First, I considered the general disposition of the planets and found that the majority of them, especially the 2 benefic planets, were moving swiftly and well positioned in houses without any afflictions or harmful aspects towards each other. I also took note that Venus, the lord of the ascendant, was close to the star Regulus, which has significant influence. Additionally, the moon was increasing in light, and Jupiter was nearing its highest point in the sky. Based on these observations, I concluded that the querent would be able to sustain a good rank and quality of life within the community, according to his capabilities and occupation. Secondly, I addressed the question of whether the querent would be rich or not. To answer this, I examined the placement of the lord of the second house, Mars, and noted that it was positioned in the eastern angle. Mars, being the lord of the part of fortune and its dispositor, was also near the star Spica Virgo in 18 degrees of Libra. I also observed that Jupiter, a general significator of wealth, was exalted and angular, forming a close square aspect which we consider as a favorable trine in signs of long ascensions, with the degree ascending. The moon had recently separated from a sextile aspect with Mars, the lord of the second house and significator of the wealth being sought after, and immediately after that, the moon formed a conjunction with Mercury before moving towards a conjunction with Venus, the significator of the querent. This transfer of light from Mercury and Mars to Venus, facilitated by the moon's dispositor, the Sun, indicated positive outcomes for the querent. Lastly, I noted that the part of fortune was in a fixed sign and in Mars's own terms. Based on all these testimonies, I concluded that the querent would acquire an estate and have a decent future, although it would require labor and care due to the involvement of Mars, a malefic planet. Up until the present day, this judgment has held true. However, because Mars, the lord of the seventh house, has significant implications for the matter being asked about, namely wealth and riches, I advised the querent to marry and informed him that without marriage, he would not be able to sustain himself as well. By what means and how to attain riches? In order to answer this question, we need to consider the planet or planets that signify wealth. In our chart, Mars is the lord of the second house and the part of fortune, so we should primarily focus on Mars. Since there are no other planets in the second house, Mars being the lord and placed in the ascendant suggests that the querent will acquire an estate through his own industry. Additionally, the significator of the matter being asked is positioned in the ascendant, indicating that the acquisition of wealth will come somewhat easily or with less effort than anticipated. However, the fact that Mars is an infortune planet diminishes this aspect in our current configuration. Mars being the lord of the seventh house, I informed the querent that he would marry a woman who would bring him a good fortune, exceeding his expectations. This judgment was based on Mars, the lord of the seventh house, being in the ascendant and close to a prominent fixed star. Additionally, Venus, the lord of the eighth house, is well fortified. Taking into account that the moon is the lord of the 10th house, representing the querent's trade or profession, and is transferring the qualities of Mercury and Mars to the querent, I advised him to be diligent in his profession, as it would lead to a very good or sufficient estate. According to the querent's report, he indeed had good fortune with his wife, both in terms of money and land. His trading endeavors have also been prosperous, which can be attributed to Jupiter being in the 10th house. Jupiter in the 10th house is a reliable indication, based on natural causes, that the querent will have ample opportunities for trading or engage in a profitable profession. And lastly, we shall look at the time when these matters will happen. Considering that all the significators are either in the ascendant or the eastern quadrant of the sky, and that 5 of the planets are swift in their motion, it indicates that the acquisition of wealth will happen within a relatively short period of time after the question is posed. Mars, the lord of the second house, and the part of fortune, which is the main subject of inquiry, being swift in motion, further supports this notion. The distance between the ascendant and Mars, which is approximately 2 degrees, signifies a time frame of about 2 years or thereabouts. This aligns with the time when the querent received a portion of wealth through marriage. Some may question why Mars, being in a foreign sign, would signify any benefit for the querent. To that I say that as the lord of the second house and the 7th house, and as the promising planet for the matter being asked, Mars indicates not only the time when, but also the fulfillment of what it signifies, albeit with some hindrances. In civil societies, even the wicked or ungracious individuals can perform acts of love and kindness for their friends, just like others who are better qualified. Therefore, there should be no doubt in this matter. Next, I examined the degree of separation between the Moon and Venus, which was 6 degrees and 27 minutes. Taking this into account along with the previous considerations, I concluded that about 2 years after the question was posed, or perhaps even sooner, the querent would notice an improvement in his estate, either through a wife or through his own diligence and industry. Around the year 1640, which was 6 years after the question, he would experience significant success in his trading endeavors, enjoy a great reputation, and have many good friends and acquaintances that would help him enhance his wealth. I judged that the increase in wealth would come through the assistance of friends, because Venus is located on the cusp of the 11th house, which signifies friendship. In all judgments, it is important to carefully consider the nature of the house in which the application of significators occurs. When making judgments about contingent matters like this, one must blend art and reason together, not relying too heavily on general rules of astrology alone, as true wisdom lies beyond knowledge and science. As we draw the celestial curtains on this episode of the Lilly Lectures, I hope you found our journey both enlightening and enriching. It has been a privilege to share with you the timeless wisdom of the universe. Until we meet again under the stars, I bid you adieu, and may the heavens above bring you clarity and enlightenment in all your endeavors. Thank you for joining me. I am William Lilly, and this is Christian Astrology.